Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Long Term Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Villa, and today we have a very special guest, University of Alberta psychology student and a great friend, Jack Messer. Right, we're live, Jack. Welcome.
Here we are. Hey,
dude, this has been a long. It's been coming. It's a long time coming.
Long, like 3-4 weeks.
Even though I just started.
Yeah.
Man, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, where to start? No. I guess I'd start with the fact that, as you said in your intro, I'm a U of A student, majoring BA psychology.
Right.
I'm hoping to go into clinical psychology of some sort, right? Whether I'm doing some sort of counseling or like if I'm, working in a therapy role. But beyond where I'm at right now in my undergrad, future's wide open, right? So yeah, just sort of finding my way. But yeah, I guess that's kind of the big thing about me. I'm a student.
You've always been great at listening to people, and just when I come to you for advice, actually many times, how I know clinical psychology is the right path, like no doubt that is for you, man. I just know
I
you'd be great at
appreciate
it.
your confidence.
How did that come about? Like, I know you were in fine arts before, or graphic design.
Yeah, I was in. It was still the BA program, right? Same program as I'm in right now, but my major was in art and design. Because as a kid, like I really liked drawing, growing up, and I just sort of figured, that was, I was like, oh, it's something I always, was praised for as a kid, and
Yeah, you're good at it.
I'm okay, but, yeah, so I wanted to go into BDes because of that at University of Alberta, but it didn't really pan out for me. I applied a couple years in a row, didn't get in, so so yeah, that was definitely a big part in me getting to where I am today. But like honestly, sorry, my went out there. Honestly, like the bigger thing for me with that was like my sister's passing, right? Most people who know me, I've mentioned before, or they've seen on social media that my sister Erin passed away. Just about 2 years ago now.
My condolences, man.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. Yeah, and so that's definitely been, a very complicating part of my life, I guess. But, certainly, like, I don't know, it's, I'm discovering every day the many ways that it, it affects you, right? And it changes who you are.
What was your perspective on mental health in comparison after, right? Because I know we all heard about it, right? And we all keep having those talks about like making sure you check up on people because you don't really know what's going on inside. But when it happens, right, when you lose a loved one and it's just, you're just thrown upside down, and these things that people have been saying are just you're in that zone, right? And you feel trapped. And how do you go about that? How do you cope with grief?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously it's it's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question, yeah.
And really it's something that I feel like I'm only, obviously I'm only really figuring this out still, right? Yeah, I certainly am far from, being past or, reaching a point where it would affect me to the least possible degree, and certainly it's, the way that the trauma and the grief manifest it, it has its, it's got an ebb and flow, right? They say that some days are good, some days are bad, and I've found very much that is true,
Have you ever looked at the stages with grief? And I forget I know anger is part of it, there's acceptance.
Yeah.
In what stage are you at right now, would you say?
Ooh.
Or does it...
What are the stages again? I
I'm gonna
haven't brushed up.
I'm gonna
I feel
search it
like
up
as
right now.
psychology majors, this is something we should maybe.
Yeah, bro. The stages of grief. This is why the laptop's here.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
this is the first time I've used this in the podcast. Um,
Technology.
but 5 stages actually. It's
Right.
denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so for me, like, I wouldn't really say that there was much of a denial stage, you know, because maybe, I don't know, maybe this is like very specific to my experience, but, um, you know, just to clarify for the listeners, like my
Mm.
sister, she died from a suicide. And this, you know, the incident that, you know, took her life, that wasn't her first attempt. It was actually her second. So yeah, sorry, it's it's of course heavy, but
It's heavy, man. But I'm here for you, bro.
yeah. But I think I don't know. I almost feel like maybe that might have in some way, you know, pushed me past that first step. You know, and so then like, what is it after that? It's anger or
Oh, I closed it down. Um, man, just that
but
stuff like that, dude. Just I think that's just so real to me, and I think about that a lot, and I see just I interact with you every day, and I see like such like we make so many jokes or day to day, and
yeah.
you've added so much meaning and so much joy to my life, and I go to you for advice, and you have been such a blessing, and I know we met through our friend Adri, and bro, I on my bad days, man, like showing up to those classes, man, and you just hearing me out, like man, like I just dude, thank
Yeah.
you, but
Well,
going
yeah. I
back
mean,
to yeah, go on.
it's
Mhm.
like that's definitely something that has changed a lot for me, right? You know, because of this, it really, you know, it's changed my life in innumerable ways, you know, mostly relating to how I think about the world.
Mhm.
And yeah, like, you know, what you say about, you know, obviously you're a champion of wellness and, you know,
I try.
supporting others and
But it's
promoting, you know, promoting like connection, right?
dude, bro, it's I just gotta
And
make sure this is make sure it's recording because I just this is dude I wanna
got no, but
there's bro it's not easy too right because when you're bogged down and you go to I go to school there's days where I feel happy now like I feel great because last night we were just came from a party our friend
mm-hmm,
Adri just
mm-hmm.
let us eat it was a good time but then on those days we're just like it's so honed in and you remember these things that have happened and you carry them with you and then there's a lot of shame and guilt and doubt right you really need others to kind of help you keep going, right? And how do you rationalize this in your head? Like when things like these happen, how do you how do you rationalize it?
Yeah.
I don't like
Uh, you see, I don't know. I honestly don't know if rationalizing is something that has really crossed my mind much, you know, because
it's irrational. Like
yeah, I mean, it's irrational, you know, obviously, in, you know, to my sister, there was some, you know, sense of rationality to it, you know, whether that's right or not. Um, but I don't know. I just don't view rationality, I guess, as a big part of it, or that hasn't been so, you know, central to my focus, you know, when I think about it.
um, do you ever get angry at why this happened? Because I mean, when things get bad in my life, I go, why me? Why'd that happen to my sibling? Right? Why did out of all the people, why? Why couldn't I have been there? There's a lot of blame in there too. Do you feel angry or
Yeah, maybe sometimes. You know, like I am very aware of the fact that, you know, this this turn of events is not, it's not my fault, right? But obviously, as a sibling, you carry a little bit of residual guilt because,
Right.
you
You,
think to yourself like there's, something else you might have been able to do. And, I know that there really, like, I think maybe there wasn't, but it's definitely, yeah, like you have to, you battle with that cognition, right?
mhm. Like I always try to derive meaning in everything that I do, whether it be interacting with people, whether it be, but I just can't find meaning in that. It just that
No.
would just that would fuck me up. I
Yeah,
don't know. Like
it does fuck you up.
I have not experienced anyone dying in my life. Like sure I've gone. My parents have been divorced, and I've gone through like lots of depression and like suicidality and anxiety are big thing in my family, and I've experienced it myself and like many times throughout even last year, and I've had my low points, and I'm sure you've heard I tell you all about it. Um,
Right.
but
Well, like talking about that aspect of it, the suicidality, right? Like I'm pretty blessed because,
Mhm,
I know that there's a little bit of history of mental health, like, health issues in my family.
mhm.
And, I would count myself blessed that I'm not really significantly affected by anything. So,
Maybe you're just really resilient, man. I feel
uh,
like you've
I
always
don't
been a
know.
fighter,
I
though.
really, I don't really know how you'd be able to say that with, with much, you know, authority, really. But
Mhm.
yeah, like one thing I've definitely found a lot in this, in these last 2 years is like I feel like I kind of have come to understand a little bit more what what my sister went through,
Mhm.
not firsthand, but
Mhm.
in a sense of, I don't know, really. I guess it's just, you go and you pick up the pieces
You
and
realize
it's,
the signs were there.
yeah, and you realize like the gravity of the experience, right? Because obviously suicide is a very it's extreme, right?
Yeah.
So what leads a person to take such extreme measures, right? And it was something that I don't think I could have grasped before
Right.
this. So I guess I'm kind of a little bit grateful for the perspective.
That's a great way of looking at it, man. I mean, there's a million different things why this is just horrific and why nobody deserves to go through it, and like the people left, like the just your sister was so capable, and she was so
Yeah. Well, she
from the stories
was.
you told me, she's a very hard worker, and she was just a ball of energy, right? And positivity,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I don't know about a ball of energy, but she
Right.
was. Yeah, she
You guys
was.
are a hardworking family. You guys work hard, and you
Yeah,
guys are
my
cap.
family for sure. I
You
don't
guys
know
have a
about
lot.
me, but
Yeah, you guys have a lot of
um,
potential. Um,
yeah, like she was honestly, she was a pretty special person. Yeah, very smart. Always kind,
you guys were
compassionate.
close.
Yeah, definitely. She was, a sort of like, like she was a sibling, right? There's,
Mhm.
surely anyone who has, grown up with a sibling knows sort of what
Yeah.
that's like, right? But it's,
Mhm.
there's a certain,
Mhm.
specific, um, she occupied a
There-
certain spot in my life, that,
there's some chemistry in there, right?
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that, in a certain way that's even different from my
Hmm.
eldest sister,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, I gotta say that, she was a good person and, these things happen to good people,
I'm
right?
See, I'm Christian. I know but I believe that she's in a better place now. Right? I solely believe that
Mm.
she's looking down on you right now, man, and she's very proud of how much you have changed, and you have changed my life. The way I know I've told you every single, from my ear pain, right, from like my
Hmm.
hypochondria, from like the family issues. You know how to listen. Now, is this something you have sharpened since that incident?
Um,
Like you're a great listener.
Yeah, you see, I don't know, like I've always been a quiet person, especially like as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, I was super quiet, very shy,
Mm-hmm.
still kind of am.
Mm-hmm.
But so like listening was, I was always more of a listener than a talker.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I guess the big thing, as it pertains to this is that I guess I've become more cognizant
Mm-hmm.
of listening, right? Because you can listen and then,
Not really absorb it.
not really absorb it, or you can listen and you can actually, take the time to think about what the person is saying
Mm-hmm.
and what you can give back to them, right,
Mm-hmm.
in the conversation. And so I feel like, just given how much I guess my values have changed, I'm more inclined to, to want to hear someone out
Mm-hmm.
and not be so maybe, not so quick to just
Judge. Yeah.
not judge, but
But
just, listen and forget,
okay.
right?
And so do you when you go about your day, do people pop in your head? Like do you think about people and what they've said to you and you come up with solutions? How does that work for you?
Uh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's not every day that
Mm.
somebody, comes and tells me about a big problem that they're having in their life. But
That will be the one day that
one
will
day,
have to
yeah,
be
one
every
day I
day. Like
should,
people are
yeah.
gonna go up to you, man. They're gonna be like, "Hey, Jack, I'm abused. I was abused as a kid, and like I'm going through a divorce, and I have cancer." And it's just a reality for some people, man. And
Yeah, I
like
guess, yeah.
I know the bus rides Jack and I have, man, are like this. In fact, it's actually a lot more. Um, there's a lot more. I'd say, I know. I'd say this is we go deeper. Or no, no, no. This is probably the same thing. This is just on the bus.
We've only just
Yeah.
gotten started.
This is just the beginning. Um, where was I? Where was I?
um,
With psychology, right?
right,
You're gonna be dealing with a lot of broken people in
right.
this
Hmm.
chaotic world.
Yeah.
Now, are you ready? Are you ready? Are
Yeah.
you ready to separate your life from another person's life?
To separate, how do you mean by
Like you don't take home the problems that they've got.
right?
Because I feel
Yeah.
like for me, the times where I hear something, like most times I won't really take it home because like I like to talk about this stuff with people. 'Cause
Hmm.
it's just so cathartic for people, and not only for it makes me feel less alone because I have my problems. I'm in my head a lot, and I get anxious and I get depressed a lot of the times. And my medication is running, man. If I run it, that's the only way. If I don't run, then there's something really like really bad that's happening. I
Hmm.
need that to happen. I need to run, or else just
Yeah.
my day will not go smooth. Uh, but are you gonna be able to take it to separate the two from your life or?
I it's that's something I can only really know for sure once
Mm,
I've
mm,
been through it. But
mm,
um, I feel like I could. I'm not sure that I don't know really. I guess it's kind of something I
Gonna
can only find
cross
through
cross
experience.
cross the bridge and I get there.
Yeah. Like on the other hand, I know that if you're a mental health practitioner, it is obviously very important to separate your work from your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but
You mentioned your aunt, the psychologist aunt you've got,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
have
and
an
she.
aunt who's she's a psych or was a psychologist. She's
Mhm.
retired
Okay,
since, but yeah, she's given me a lot of insight on the field, and
that's amazing.
that's this
Mhm.
specifically with not taking your work home. She told me that was something she never managed to work out.
Dude.
But the way I when she told me that and the way I think about it even now is like
Mhm.
honestly, if that's your biggest problem, I feel like you're not doing half bad,
Yeah, yeah,
as a professional. But
great.
you know, I don't know. I guess I haven't lived it, right? I don't know how that
We'll
might affect me.
we'll cross that bridge once we get there. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
are you fearful now since you have gone through that just horrific incident? When people tell you, "Oh, this is something bad that's happening in my life," do you fear that they might do you jump to the worst case scenario, or how does that play into
Mm,
your thought process?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I honestly I've never been the
Mm-hmm.
sort that would,
Mm-hmm.
jump to the worst possible conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say though that it's definitely, it's you get exposed to loss, right? And it becomes real, right? It becomes a real part of life that like you obviously that it's a thing and that one day everybody leaves this earth,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't like you don't believe it, I guess. Not believe it, but you just don't feel it, I guess, right? And sometimes I would say that, you know, like that there is a little bit of, concern in my mind about things going, terribly wrong. Like for example, like very specific things, like my parents went to Mexico for a couple weeks for a wedding. There are
Mm-hmm.
two weddings. Um, and I would like probably would have never thought of it before, but now, you know, my dad's like he's like pulling out, he's telling me, here's the combination to my
That's right.
safe.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where my will is in case our plane goes down. And I'm like
What? Dude,
I'm
that
like,
gives me like
thanks dad
the
for telling me
that
this,
gives me
but
just like goosebumps, man, because it's so real. Like
yeah,
it is a possibility.
but yeah, and like
Um,
that, not to say that he was, making a wrong call
right,
because
but
you should be
but you should,
prepared,
but
but
it's a possibility, right? It's
yeah,
a
but it's like
mm-hmm.
that stayed with me a
Mm-hmm.
little long, whereas before I would have been, ha 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 ha, I'd
Uh-huh.
laugh it off
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
out of my head, right? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it kind of, it's in the back of your mind, I guess.
There's this saying in the I know I've mentioned stoicism a lot to you. There's this thing called memento mori, that it's a reminder that you are mortal, right? That
Right.
within any time you can you can die. You get like all your family members can die. Anything can be taken away from you. Just your health, your arm could get bitten off by a shark or your leg. These when you truly internalize how fragile life itself is, man, you learn that every day is just like we should cherish it. Right now, I see like this is a motivator for me. Like, oh, I could just wait for after I get back from vacation, do it with Jack, but
Mm.
I have this thought in my head that my plane might just go down. I don't I made a joke with my family that oh like what song should I play once they're like don't think about that. I'm like I'm kidding, but I'm half not kidding, right?
Yeah, well, you're thinking about it.
I think about it a lot. Like
Yeah.
I think about death a lot. Like I at the same time that it makes me anxious, it also frees me. That I'm like, hey, I I got to do this podcast with Jack because I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I got to tell Jack how much he means to me and how much our friendship means to me, and how much he has made me better
Yeah.
because one of us could just disappear, or maybe not to that extent, but maybe you move away. Sorry. Um, maybe you move away, right? Maybe you like I don't know. Maybe we just get into fight. We stop being friends.
Yeah.
Granted, bro,
Just
that's never gonna just
fisticuffs.
fucking that's never gonna happen. But um, how do you
There.
view death?
Ooh. Okay. Wasn't
Yeah,
ready for that one.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I cut you off there though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sort of tying back, talking about stoicism,
Mm-hmm.
like like you said, it's very, the consciousness and, the, when it becomes real, like I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it like yeah, like the whole stoicism thing. It is liberating,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I used to live, my life either in the past or the future,
Mm-hmm.
never in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've learned from this, like, all you have is right now,
Right
right?
now,
So
that's
why
all we
not?
got.
Yeah, and why not just take it for what it is, and enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know. I suppose that's sort of
Mm-hmm.
my big wisdom is just, enjoy the moment and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, don't take anything for granted.
Can you elaborate on that? Uh, so when you're out with talking to your family, your friends, when you're doing something that you're passionate about, how does one live in the moment?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is stay off your phone.
Dude, phone's a
Yeah.
big thing, man.
Um, no, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, jokes aside, like I don't think there's really a whole lot to it. I mean, I certainly don't have it down to a science. Just be present. I always try to listen to people. And just engage meaningfully. Talk about things that have a positive affect on you. Don't dwell on negative topics. I
Mm-hmm.
know, like, for some people in my family, not name dropping, but and also for me too, like,
Yeah.
it can be easy to dwell on,
Mm-hmm.
horrible things that are happening on the other side of the world,
Yeah.
right? But you
Yeah.
gotta, I don't know, I think you just gotta learn to curate your thinking, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and just, focus on things that will, bring you positive affect,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things on the other side of the world, right? That sure you could donate like $100, right? You could donate like if you got surplus, but there's also like very, very immediate things right in front of you, like the friend in need, like your family. And I think it's a constant effort to put in, right? Because I don't think that just because you guys had a good conversation that one time doesn't mean it's gonna last, right?
Right.
Because life happens, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I always say this is a chaotic world. Like I solely believe that, man, that this is just like chaos. I've experienced things that are like I told you about my hyperacusis, right? I used to have this condition where I don't know, I I wasn't like I didn't attempt or anything, but like I suicidality was like a thing that I thought of because it was like the pain was so unbearable. Like every sound, I just didn't like. I was so in my head, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't wish that. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. But then once I'm done, I'm over it now. I'm like 99% healed. It still comes back here and there, but I've gone through it. I've lived it, bro, and now I see the fragility of life, and I feel so much more alive. you know, I
yeah.
know I know what it's like to be on the bottom, man. I know what it's like
Yeah.
to have like a broken
That's
family and
Yeah, like I think that's kind of a good way of sort of summarizing it, like or for me at least, right? Like it wasn't, I wasn't ever suicidal, and I'm still not, thankfully, but
good.
it absolutely was like a rock bottom, right? And it's
Hmm.
like, it wasn't, it's not directly,
Hmm.
it's not like rock bottom, like, I'm living on the street,
Of
abusing
course,
drugs, but like,
bro. But it's still like, dude, the emotions you get, even if you are living in the streets, versus if you lose
yeah,
someone over such a horrific,
yeah, like
you know,
exactly, like
it's
yeah, you feel it every
you
bit as
feel the
much.
same. Like it's the
Yeah,
same. Like maybe it might even more be magnified because you have a stable mind versus if you're homeless, right? The physical pain, I'd argue, is less. Uh, I don't want to discount the problems that people that are going through poverty have,
of course not.
but
No.
the
Yeah,
pain in the mind, like when you're going through it, man, dude, there's like days where just like I feel like I'm dying, and like feel like oh man, like what is this? Is this
yeah,
like this is death. Like I'm dead, but I'm alive. Like what is this? What is this feeling? And there's this quote with Seneca. It's we suffer more in imagination than in reality,
Right.
right? And then
Yeah,
that goes
that's
back to living in the moment, right? Like
yeah.
I think
Yeah, well, like, you know, how do you avoid, rumination and dwelling on, the bad things that have happened to you? You don't focus on that. You focus on, right, the
mm,
moment, focus on
mm,
things that, bring you joy.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess I don't really know where I'm going with that
Well,
one, but,
no, it makes
that's sort
sense.
of,
You focus on the things and the outlook looking forward, right? Like the future, man, rather than, focusing on the problems of what happened, what could happen, and you're all anxious about it. What can you do? And
yeah. And what do you still have?
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm. What do you like to do? What are the joys of Jack's life?
Choice. Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
them.
Name them.
Yeah,
Uh, Video games.
the boys, man, in the
The
Discord.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely like one of my biggest
Mhm.
sources of like in pleasure, serotonin, dopamine, every
Yeah,
neurotransmitter
yeah,
under the
yeah.
sun, is definitely like music.
Hmm.
Yeah, like for me, I'm sure that probably a lot of people relate to this, right? But music
Music,
is
man.
it kind of it's like a fuel, right? You talk about how running is like,
Yeah.
that's your medication
Hmm.
that gets you, that's what you need on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I feel about like music.
Yeah.
Like I kind of need to get my fix of like, it's like certain emotions and like
Hmm.
feelings, vibes like captured into a little, 3 minute, or if you're
Hmm.
like me and you listen to a lot of
Yeah.
Rush, it's like
Yeah.
9 minute songs.
Bro, it's beautiful, hey? The way it's just constructed, it's just like it hits at different parts, and then you're just like when you're walking or like even when you're driving, it's just like, whoa, like how did
Absolutely.
how did that frequency, how did that sound just hit me in the
Yeah.
heart,
Yeah, this
Like,
collection of
and
random
it's
noises.
just like, oh, like wow, like
Yeah.
who discovered this? Like this is such like a human, like such a human,
It's yeah, it is kind
like
of remarkable, right? Because it
yeah,
is so
mm-hmm.
it is yeah, it's so mechanical and yet it's,
Yeah,
so
it's beautiful.
so
Yeah,
personal.
yeah.
Um but like yeah, like, with everything I've gone through the last 2 years, that was like a huge thing for me because to be able to, come out of any scenario, whether I'm like, walking out of work or coming home from, a long day at school, or even if I'm at home and I've just been, grinding, studying or doing an assignment for a couple hours, like just to tune out and, be able to just, I guess, feel, to
Yeah,
pause
yeah.
and like
Mm-hmm.
just be in tune with whatever you're listening to. And I'm very like eclectic with my
Yeah,
music taste.
yeah.
Like it's all over the place from
Mm-hmm.
one, from sad songs to happy. It's,
Yeah. You
you
got your
know,
diversity, man. You got
diversity,
diverse. Yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I don't know, it's like it's indescribable, the value I found in being able to sort of just
Mm-hmm.
resonate with, different songs along the way. And yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know, it's just
I
really helped me.
do you have a song in mind that when you're going through those rock bottom you mentioned that when you listen to now you can almost like because for me when I have my own rock bottom, right? And
Hmm.
I listen the songs I listen to to help me keep going. uh I listen to them now and I can almost like go back to that situation, to go
Yeah.
back to that feeling.
Yeah.
Do you have songs like those in mind?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
To name one,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
Allison Chains's,
mhm.
Nutshell.
Right.
It's from their album, Jar
Yeah.
of Flies. I'd recommend the whole album. It's very good.
What's it called?
Jar of Flies.
Jar of Flies. I'm gonna put that in my
Yeah,
copy of
but
my
it's very
Jar
emo.
of Flies.
Jar of Flies. Yeah, it,
I don't know too
it's
much.
kind of it's like
Alice in
I don't know.
Chains.
Someone else could probably describe it better than I can, but
What's
it's
your favorite song in it?
uh, second one, Nutshell.
Not sure.
It's very grungy, very kind of dark. And like I guess, to just provide a bit of context, like
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of as I understand it, the song kind of ties into their vocalist Lane Staley's like his drug abuse problems
Mm-hmm.
that he faced. This was back in like the 90s, which ultimately ended up like taking his life from an overdose, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe that element of it also kind of made it personally resonant to me. But I listened to that song like I shit you not, I think like like 60, probably like 100 times
Oh
in
man, bro.
like a month or two.
Dude,
And this
man.
this is like around this time last year maybe. So just like a year ago, but
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah, I came upon the song and like I don't know, it was like
It's
I don't know, it was like no other song,
relatable, and it talked to you, man. Like,
Yeah.
sure, conversation can do that, right? Where like, I'm here for you, bro. Or like, you say I love you to your family, or you just talk. But music, you don't really need to
And
have
like
lyrics, even, right?
yeah, it's
Like,
like
mhm.
I don't know, it's like when you talk to someone that knows what you're going through and it's like
Mm,
they might know what you're going through, have an idea, and they can
yeah.
try to convey that to you as best as they can, but it's like,
Mm-hmm.
when you're listening to a track like that,
Right.
it's like it's telling you exactly how you feel.
Yeah.
And you're like,
You're not alone. It's like that
yeah, I
universality
guess
of
so.
suffering, right?
Yeah.
Like when I'm so
Yeah.
obsessed with that, right? Like I like I'm not masochistic, but I like
But you like to
this
suffer.
I like to suffer.
You like
But
to
like
suffer.
when I hear it from other people though, it gives me that like I know music we just talked music does that, and or like other people going through some things that talk about it, you're not alone. Right? And like what makes me so gives me a lot of hope is when I hear about some of my friends, like you going through your own battles, and like even Adri, and he tells me his own battles. Um, it helps me realize that I all these feelings that I'm feeling, I am not alone, and I that there are people that have gone through the same things, right? Albeit in
Hmm.
the friends that I have, they feel the same, but like they're different problems. And I know that there's another person out there with the same exact problem as me, if not worse. And I want to be that person to tell them it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
I'm on the same boat, bro. Like
Yeah, right?
yeah, like
Yeah, and like that's a huge
mhm,
part of why I
mhm,
switched into psychology
mhm,
after this is like
mhm,
I just value that so much more than I
mhm,
used to, right? Like I
mhm.
honestly, like even after the first time that my, sister had an attempt, like mental health was not even then like it just wasn't real to me, and
It's shocking, man. It's just like
I just didn't take that into
mhm.
to be that important to me or to be yeah, but yeah, it's just a complete
I'm
flip.
I'm the same way where before I quote unquote lost everything, like my definition of losing everything, like to me, um, I didn't know like mental health. I thought depression was just like something that you could just get over. Like, bro, go do something, go
Exactly.
hit the
Yeah.
gym, go
Yeah.
like talk to someone. It's not that hard to get over.
Yeah, that's
But
that's
mhm,
yeah, that's sort
mhm,
of how I
yeah. But then when
conceptualized
you
it.
go through it, right? Like you realize that it's real, and like for some people it's just
It's like everything.
it's
It's
everything,
all
man,
that
and
you
that's all you
yeah.
think about. And like you
Yeah.
could talk about, oh, that you're so like there's 8 billion people in the world, right? Like there's just this whole world if you look around. But when that's happening, when your mental health is down, you can't even appreciate food, bro. You can't even appreciate having your friends. You can't appreciate, like, you're devoid
Yeah.
of all gratitude, you're devoid of all agency,
Mhm.
you're devoid of all meaning. And when you're devoid of that, what's the point? What's the point of waking up, right? What's the point of
Yeah.
like doing anything? Like when I go doing video, like playing video games, what's the point, right? Like it's just like when in that doom and gloom, and it's so easy for other people to say that, hey man, like just get over it. Like for people that haven't been in it themselves, it's so easy. And that's why I'm such an advocate on like, hey, ask your friend how they're doing. Like check up on look at their behavior, and just but some people are great at hiding it, man. Like
Yeah.
some people are like
Yeah.
they may look like they're all happy and was that kind of how it went down? Like you
Um,
you told me there were some signs, right? Like an
yeah.
attempt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, honestly, like you're kind of spot on.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, she's kind of like me, like she was more on the reserved side,
Yeah.
Um, didn't really, I mean, I'm still honestly like this for the most part. Like I don't love being super vulnerable most of the time, and she definitely was even more so like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, yeah, there was definitely an element of like
Mm-hmm.
maybe shame, I
Yeah.
can't really look, see into her head, but like she was, she held that in, she kept that to herself,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what she was going through. Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm. It's just you can't really know what they're going through, right? But all you can do is check up, and it's
yeah. And,
it's so uncomfortable.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
like that's kind of a lesson I learned from it. Like, yeah, I probably, I feel like maybe I could have done more, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the way these things go, right?
And bro, it's just so uncomfortable, right, to talk about these things, cause like people do not want to talk about it, dude. Anytime I want to talk about it with people, there's kind of that resistance at first, but it actually feels great after, right? Cause like you're so used to the everyday of like, you look everywhere, bro. It's like people almost expect you to just be have a smile on your face, and but nobody really knows what's inside, right? We can't really tell, and it's just people need to realize that no matter how successful you are, no matter how perfect it may seem, you could be the most attractive, most intelligent, most gifted, but if your mental health is in the sewers and you got no one to talk to, no one to, if I don't got a friend like you, if it's just how do you get it out?
Yeah.
You're trapped in this dark place. You're a prisoner in your own mind, and you might as well just be in solitary confinement. And like the only way to alleviate that for people, their best way is just to end it.
Or yeah, or escape it some way, right?
Some way or addiction. It comes out in addiction. It comes
Mm-hmm.
out in just withdrawing from society, like
Yeah.
cutting off all their friends. And I've seen that, man. I've seen it on people we went to high school with. Like we've talked about some of them, and it's like, bro, I if you're watching right now, I want you to guys know that Jack and I are here. There's a high school reunion that I'm planning out.
Hey, yeah, yeah.
If you want to talk about your feelings, hit us up.
Yeah, yeah. I'll start a round table and
Dude, we'll start crying back up. But
gosh,
bro, life's not easy, man, and like there's so much shame, there's so much doubt, and I like.
yeah. I think there's definitely like we as like cliche as this sounds, like everyone I think could benefit from being more open, and being more willing to hear each other out
Yeah.
and to tell other people what's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I mean, you wouldn't, not to say that would have, in my case changed the outcome, but it
Mm-hmm.
certainly would help people, right?
Well, now all you can do right now is spread the word so it doesn't happen to others, and and I feel like you can derive meaning from the incident and be forward thinking, right? And you don't want this to happen again, and you're not using this to go, hey, like this is awful. This is just life hates me. And you certainly could have taken that route, right? You could
Right.
have, but you didn't, man. You didn't. I'm so proud of you for
I
still
appreciate
being
that.
here and still being strong, bro, and still having the study sessions with us and still going
Yeah.
about life and making jokes, bro. Cause man, there's two ways you could have gone. You could have just gone, hey, this happened to me. Awful. I give up. This is tough. I'm gonna
Hmm.
start creating negativity, and it's just. But you still have. You're very patient, and you're still very compassionate, and you hear people out. You hear me out, man.
Oh, I mean, you hear
Yeah,
me out too, right? Like everything you say about me, admin, like it goes like totally both ways,
dude. I
man.
mean, it's just that's how we support each other, right? Like I'm a believer that we can't get through this life alone, man. And like I've always had this fear, right, where if I got cancer or if I lost my voice, I think this is where it stemmed from. I did a lot of introspection. Um,
The dangers of
so
introspection.
the dangers of introspection, where if I lost my hearing and I had to learn like sign language to be able to communicate with you, I felt like people, my family, my friends would just disown me. Like I have that fear still, and I still like that's where my shame and doubt comes from. Where
Hmm.
I told you about like that sickness I got from my neck.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought like I did some more introspection, and the more like I thought about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my voice, right? And that I can't talk to Jack anymore. I can't talk to Adri. I can't talk to my family, and they won't talk to me anymore. They won't love me. And I feel like that's my best. I still don't know, right? Because we don't have all the answers. I still don't know why I feel I have hypochondria, why I feel this doubt and shame all the time, and why I we don't have all the answers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but we just gotta be there for each other, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's at the end
yeah.
of the
I mean,
day.
like, yeah, no one, no one has all the tools for it, for every job, right?
Hmm.
Nobody can handle anything on their own. Everybody, has some weakness
Yeah.
that they need other people to help, to help them account for, right?
Cause
But
I know on the conscious side you're doing okay and you seem to be in control. But what about
yeah,
the
I'd say so.
unconscious? What about like when you dreams, man? Does it ever haunt you? Does it ever like
um,
wake up from cold sweats or anything?
yeah, I don't know if I'd call it cold sweats. I've definitely like had not like traumatic, but like sad, I guess, sad dreams, that are like it's just, you get reminded of what happened. Like this is a little bit raw, but I had this dream once a couple weeks ago where I was like just literally just sitting beside my sister and I
Mm.
was like, I was still, you're in a dream, so there's an element of dissociation, things that don't make sense, they make sense in a dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even still, even though I was in this dream, I was like, I sensed like you're not supposed to be here, right? And I was like, I know you're gone, right? And so I literally, I was like in this dream, and I'm like, I was like, when am I gonna see you again? And then that was pretty much it. And so like I woke up with like, tears in my eyes,
Dude.
and I'm like, shit, it'd be like that, and it doesn't really change, but yeah, I don't know. That's really the only sort of dream like that or like unconscious, you know, outcropping that I've really experienced. Yeah.
You're good. There's man, stuff like that though. It's just it's great that you have these dreams though, cause that just knows you'll never, like, you'll always just have them in your heart, in your mind, right? And it's just the memories that we have of these people that have passed away are all we've got. At we
Oh
can't
yeah.
make
No,
any more,
honestly, like I have
right?
to say, like it was,
Mm-hmm.
like I was very glad to have had that dream just for like a moment of that
Mm-hmm.
experience again.
Um,
Yeah.
my dad talks about his siblings and like his both my grandparents have passed away, and he just talks of like at first it like having these dreams are really catastrophic and it really like scares you, and it, like
Mm-hmm.
you miss them more, and you go through more grief. But I think later on, like as the years progress, he describes how these dreams actually you look forward to them because
Yeah. Well,
the
yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's just your way of like I feel like they're there, you know. I feel like the dreams, I feel like it's their way of making like saying hi to you. Yeah,
yeah. No, honestly,
yeah,
it kind of felt
hmm
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in a way, my when my uncle passed away, my dad like felt like he felt something in the middle of his sleep, and I think it was my he said it was my uncle saying goodbye to him,
Hmm.
and I'm like, to put it in like I don't know, does that do you ever experience stuff like that and
I mean, honestly, I'm not, see, in the first place, I should say, like, I'm not really very religious,
right,
you know.
right,
um, so I'm not sure that,
mm-hmm,
if I were to encounter a sign like that, that I would interpret it,
mm-hmm,
in such a way. But my parents, I can say, I've definitely had moments like that, where like they'll see her birthday on something, super uncanny, right?
mm-hmm,
Or, something, that was a part of her personality, they'll see it in something. And yeah, not so much for me, I guess. I don't tend
mm-hmm,
to look for those things, but yeah.
mm-hmm. Just yeah, bro. It's just while it was horrific, it can also be just a great learning lesson, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you've changed so much from it, right? And albeit like if you could go back, right, you'd probably just do something to change it. But right now we can't do that because that's just I think about that
Yeah.
all the time too, where like something horrific happened. There's something just destructive, and I go, oh man, time machine, right? You want to go back and stop it, and it's like no, life just doesn't work that way. Like I
Yeah.
don't. I always go, what if, what if? But it's
Honestly, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm not even sure. Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess, I would like to, have my sister back, but it's, yeah, like there isn't really any part of me that says that it should be that way, Like,
right.
I've, come to terms with it, but it just seems like at this point, it just seems like, you know, it's the way it was meant to be, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Because, like, I'm definitely, or I feel at least like I'm a different person than I was before. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and, like in some ways, it would be nice to go back, but like I can't really imagine being that person today, So,
I don't think the former Jack knew like knew how to empathize as well because I think the Jack
exactly.
now knows how to listen
100%.
better, knows how to just derive meaning from the interactions and knows how to live in the present.
Yeah,
Right.
honestly, like, yeah, it's a little corny, but I feel like I was like, compared to now, I feel like I was like a sociopath before.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
me too,
relatively
man.
speaking,
Bro, my
right? But
ex-girlfriend called me a psychopath back then, man.
oh,
I was just
it's
so
rough.
hungry to I was just so hungry for my own kind of wants and needs and didn't really
Mm,
care about her. And while, she really cared about me, I've apologized since, and there's really nothing I can do. Um,
yeah, but
it,
you learn
yeah,
from it.
you learn from it, and
Yeah.
it's just, I wish I could go back and, tell her that I just, that I care about you too, but there's nothing I can do now, right? There's nothing I
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like you've both moved on, right?
Both
Like,
moved
yeah,
on,
you've
yeah,
gone. Yeah.
gone through that stuff. For someone, um, that has a family member or friend going through severe mental health issues like suicidality, what would you advise them to do?
I mean, it's a lot of like what we've been talking about, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, be how do I put this? Like, be available, not, if, because like I don't know, it's sort of a hard thing to cover because there's so like people's personalities, the way that they respond to you, it's going to be different with every person, with every
Mm-hmm. Of course.
specific, relationship that they have. But I don't know, I guess just, being available to them. Um, yeah,
Being there.
it's kind of a wide umbrella,
I mean, at the end of the day, just being there like encompasses like you can give so much advice like, hey, hit the gym, get like go to therapy, do this. But I think being there,
Yeah,
just hearing
like,
people out.
you can give people advice, but like in some ways that's gonna, it's giving them something. It's like giving them an objective and like something to, in some way, like base their quality
Like
of self
mhm.
on, right?
Like they need to work for your attention. They need to work for
Or
your
for
happiness. Yeah.
your, yeah, or like for your, you know, for your um, comfort of mind,
Care.
that they're
Yeah.
like in a
Mm-hmm.
good place. But like, and I think that maybe creates somewhat of a burden for people. I think like
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally, like it's just about being
Mm-hmm.
available, being, just, yeah, ready to help them when they want to lean on you, I
Uh,
guess.
yeah, there's this idea where like you need to do this to be successful, right? You need to be this person that's like just going for the best uh, yearly salary. You're going for the strongest physique. You want to be
The
the
hottest
best
trophy
looking.
wife.
Yeah, yeah. No. And really that doesn't really fulfill the internal need, for love. Like I know this is cheesy thing, but love is the answer, bro. Like I think it's just that's it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like you don't need to do anything for love, right? Like what you need to run a marathon or you need to get a degree or a PhD. You don't need to do any of that to feel love from a true friend, a true family member. You don't need to do any of that, right? And if that's the case, if there is a family member or friend that only loves you because you do these things, that's conditional and that's not real. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of short term, right?
short term. Dude, that's a short term mindset. We think of the long term, right?
Yeah.
Long term mindset, just dictates that you need to love people regardless of how they do in life. And that's it, man.
Yeah. I absolutely think, yeah, that's right. Like, when I look at like any of my friendships that
Yeah.
I've had for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
since high school, elementary, middle school,
Yeah.
like the people who I have stayed friends with, we like our relationship was never built on, having to, meet each other's demands. It was always, there were friendships born out of just
Mm-hmm.
common
Interests and
common interests, common, just gelling together well,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, like
You
you
guys
just,
work. You're actually your friend group is actually no, Adri is part of it, right? And it's just that's why I
mhm.
value you. And you, me, and Adri
Shout out to
are
the
kind of
boys.
shout out to the boys.
Yeah.
No, I love dude Tyson, man, Morgan. They're all good guys. Cole, um,
Yeah, well,
Jet.
and like, yeah, that group of buddies, like we've been, we've been through all these years together, and
Mm-hmm. They've been
yeah,
there for you.
yeah, I mean, they've been there. Yeah, they've been there for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think I've been there
Good,
for them
good,
too, but
good.
yeah, like, I guess it's important to, I don't know, to not, base your relationships on expectations of people, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Because none of our relationships are like that. and maybe it's all the better for that. I think it is probably, truthfully.
Yeah, dude. I think that's just such a powerful. If everybody internalized that message, right? Like, I think that would just augment productivity, overall happiness. I wouldn't say it would cure
Yeah, I mean,
everything, but
like there's obviously
mhm.
some room for placing expectations on people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
we
wouldn't.
can't just be bums like playing video games all
Yeah,
day.
yeah, and if you have a spouse and
Mhm,
kids, like you got to be,
mhm,
responsible for
mhm.
that. But like,
Of course.
yeah, in terms of like, letting, I get not letting people off the hook, but not just not putting them into a box when you don't have to, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess that's sort of what I've been
yeah.
driving at here.
Hmm. But bro, I think we're an hour in.
Oh shit,
Yeah,
okay.
and I just to end off, I just want to say, bro, that every time we hang out, man, every time and then the lectures or the study sessions, like, dude, those are, I'm thankful for every
What
single
if I
one.
see a
Yeah.
vagina?
Oh yeah, Tara, I thought you were going for a high
No,
five.
I was doing an impression of you.
Okay, I'm the craziest person in the lectures, guys.
Yeah, yeah,
Jack just hypes me up.
yeah, I enable him.
Yeah.
Yeah, admin. Yeah, honestly, like, I got to give you a little bit of credit, admin. Like you liven things up in the lecture hall for sure.
Dude,
And
I just like some people are embarrassed to be around me, but like,
yeah,
you know
but
what?
like I feel like you definitely set an example, not just for me and not just for our friends, but like for strangers even.
Yeah,
I
bro.
honestly I think so.
Yeah,
Because like, they see how, you talk to Yvonne every day. She acknowledges you, she calls you by your name.
did the other prof like the criminology like the questions asked me? What was that question? To be a
Oh,
criminal, what do I need to embody that? What would that
oh yeah,
what
what
would
was
they
the question?
advise?
Yeah, what would these specific criminologists, how would they advise like steering through criminality?
Bro, like I'm gonna get of course I'm not gonna ask questions that would like get me expelled. I'm just gonna ask like I'm gonna push the boundaries, but like
You're always pushing an agenda too. You always, yeah, always I mean, that's another like admirable
um,
part of you.
thank you, buddy.
You're focused, right? More than
And
just
then
about anybody I've met, I
I
think.
I also want everyone to rise with me. Like this podcast, I love it. I love it so much, and I want to get the message across to people that
Yeah.
they're not alone, to keep it long term, and
Yeah. I love
you
this
know,
hour of being on it.
dude, this is amazing, man. We gotta do this more often. We gotta do this more often.
Well, I don't know. I run out of material, but
We'd come up. We'd come up with stuff. We just
yeah,
yeah, we'd do like a trio with Agi or something.
yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah,
But
shake things up.
bro, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, admin.
Yeah, it was great. That's it.
That's it.
It's awesome.